Hi, welcome to my blog. My name is Tom Shue, and today we're going to do a brush tutorial. We're going to use those brushes we created yesterday in the dry brush collection creation tutorial. So let's get started. First of all, I'll show you some things about the brush and how to manage brushes and get them the way you want. So if you come over here and click on this area here, it's going to load up all the brushes. Another way you can look at your brushes is if you go to your workspace and you click on painting. A lot of people don't use this, but this has a lot of information right here. You can select all your colors. You can select all of your brushes right here that are loaded in your palette, and it gives you kind of a preview. You can change that preview. It's the same information as here, just viewed differently. Okay, and you can change the way that's done. So stroke thumbnail is the same thing over here, so you can change the way they're viewed. Either you could just put it under let's see here, small thumbnails, or you can put it under large thumbnails, or the stroke thumbnails. So this kind of gives you a preview how you're going to be when you drag the brushes. Alright, so this is just a great interface when you're doing painting. We'll go back to the default layout so everybody doesn't get lost. Okay, there's my default workspace. So when you've got all these brushes loaded, let's go here, large thumbnails. These are the default brushes, and then these are the brushes down here that I created. And you see, there's no way to just drag them and sort them the way I want. Obviously, I don't use all of these brushes, and you might not either. But I like this brush, and I like one of these other brushes, and I like to have one, these brushes. So this is what you do to manage your brushes. It's called a preset manager. And if you click on that little gear shape and you come down here to preset manager, this will allow you to sort your brushes and get rid of all the brushes that you don't want cluttering your space, so you can access them fast. There's no sense in trying to hunt and peck through all the brushes when you're not going to use them. So I know this one through this one were all of my dry brushes, and I know that this one here through this one here were my tape brushes. So I'm going to click here and here. I'm going to bring my tape brushes, and I'm going to shift click to select the first one. So if you select the first one, you can either control click and randomly pick ones you want to move, or you can click on the first one you want to select, hold down the shift button, select the second one, and we'll select them all in between. And then I'm just going to drag them down here to this spot, and you see that it moved all of my tape brushes down to the bottom. Now I know that I'm going to use a hard brush, I'm going to use a soft brush, so I'm going to control click. Actually, I'm going to just get rid of everything but those. So I'll come over here and I'll just shift click from here all the way down to, let's see here, where do they end? Okay, right here. So if I hold down the shift, I can select all of them, and now I'll go back and save the ones that I don't want to get rid of. Okay, there's one that's medium oil, heavy flow, medium. If you hold down control and click it, you'll deselect that brush. I use this brush, I use this fan brush, and I use this fine tip brush, and I use this fan brush. Okay, so now if I come over here with all the ones in blue and I click delete, now I don't have to sort through all those brushes. So I can click done. When I go to my brushes palette, all those brushes are gone except the ones that I use. Alright, now you can save those as a brush preset. You can call them my default brushes or however you want. You just go brush presets, save brushes, and you could just call them default. My cap lock is on. So you click OK, save. Now if you want to load up the default brushes, you say reset brushes, click OK. All of the old brushes are there, the default ones. And then if you want to load brushes, we can go to the default test, click OK, load it, and there you have all of those down at the bottom. Okay, so let's get started on how to create this border, photo border. First, I'm going to make a quick adjustment on this image because I think that it's lacking in color. It's a pretty cool image. It's kind of a fall season. This is a grapevine in a whiskey barrel. Some pumpkins back off and to the side. There's some trees back there. So let's go ahead and just grab a curves tool. I'm just going to make a quick adjustment. I'm going to raise up the highlights a little bit, and then I'm going to drag the shadows down just to give it more punch. Because as contrast increases, saturation increases too. So the colors start to pop out a little bit. Maybe I'll slide this up. Alright. So now that I've got the colors the way I want them, and this is where I'll switch to a blending mode. Go back to the layers. And since I'm trying to darken the image, but I only want to darken the areas where I made the curve, I'm going to do darken. And you can see that it didn't make it completely dark as the way it was when I was in the curves adjustment. It darkened based on the curve that I created. So it's subtle, but there's a before and after. So you can see the image is a lot richer. Alright, so now we've done that. What we'll do is we're going to create a new layer. Okay? And in this, let's do something else too. Let's go back to our curves and let's create this image with the curves applied to it on its own layer. So that's Alt Control Shift E or Command Option Shift E, and it's going to make that picture by itself on one layer. So there's the original picture, and then there's the picture by itself. So we've made our new layer, and we're going to grab the marquee selection tool and just drag out a selection, and we're going to fill it with black. So we're going to grab the paintbrush and fill that layer with black. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go in and we're going to put a layer mask on this. We'll hit Control D to deselect. So just put a layer mask on it. And now we're going to go with our brush tools and we're going to create some dry brush effects. So we'll just grab this one here, and with opacity at 100%, we'll just click there, and we'll click there, and we're just roughing it in now. I'm just going to get like a rough edge around this thing. Okay, and if we want to rotate that brush, if you hit F5 on your keyboard, it'll pull up the brushes. If not, you can come over here and click on this guy, and it will bring up your brushes. So if you rotate this, you can adjust how your brush is going to be. If you hold the shift, it'll stop at various increments. So I'm going to go here and click and click. Let me resize the brush down, and I'm going to click there, hit F5. Actually, I'm going to rotate this background this side. I'm going to hit F5 to move this out of the way, and I'm going to click there, and I'm going to click here. Okay, maybe a little bit right there on this edge. So now we have this dry brush border, and it's just the start of it. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to take this image and we're going to put it above the layer mask, this was the layer mask, and then we're going to create a clipping mask between the two. So if you right click, you can say create clipping mask, and now you can see that there's a clipping mask, but it's hidden because this is showing through. So if we hide this layer, you can see that there's our brush effect, but it's through to a transparent layer. So we need to make a layer that comes through. So if we want it to have a black border, we need to make a black layer. If we want it to be a white layer, a white border, we need to be a white layer. So we're going to come over here to our curves area because I want to make a layer right above that. And I'm going to hit new layer. Okay, and I'm going to fill this with white paint. So I'm going to grab my bucket tool, and since black is the foreground color, I'm going to hit the X key, and I'm going to fill that layer with white. Okay, so now if we zoom in, you can see that we've got that brush effect border, which is kind of cool just the way it is. Looks like somebody painted on top of the picture. But we can play with it and make it, any way we like. So I'm going to zoom back out, get this baby to fit on the screen here. Alright, yeah, make it a little bit bigger. Okay, so now I'm going to try some different brushes and different opacities and just kind of tweak the way I want. So where am I going to paint to continue to work on my layer mask? Or I shouldn't say layer mask, I gave it away. Where am I going to paint in order to continue creating more border? I'm going to paint right on our layer mask right here. Okay, so with the brush tool, I'm going to come up here, maybe grab one of these small ones, like this guy here. Okay, and I can just size him up nice and big, and I can change the opacity down to, you know, maybe 25-30%, something like that. And I can just come in here and add some different effects on these corners. And if I want it deeper, don't move the brush, just double, triple click. See, you can make that whole corner go just by clicking it a bunch of times. But I don't want it so deep, so I'm going to rotate this brush around. So I'm going to hit F5 and bring up the dialog. I'm just going to add this right to the corner down here. Just that edge. I'm going to click it a bunch of times. Okay, and that gives me that little edge there. I'm going to come out here, maybe in this area where it was a little thin. Tell you what, I'm going to rotate it just a little bit more. I want those tips to come out just a little bit like that, maybe. Okay. And, you know, this is just all up to you how you want it. Maybe we want to choose a different brush. I've got one that was just a really thin one. Doesn't have a lot on it at all. So I probably want to bring the opacity up to 100% on this guy. And I'll make him a little bigger. You can see it looks like I just drug the brush right across that edge. So if I hit F5, I can hide this. Alright, so now we need to rotate the brush. So we're going to hit F5, and we're just going to rotate to the bottom. And we'll come over here and add some of this over here. And then I'll come to this other side, we'll rotate the brush again. Completely opposite of that side, hit F5 to hide our brushes. And I'm going to, this time I'm going to increase the size. Okay, and just add it right there. Okay, it looks a little bit thin over in this bottom corner and a little bit thin over in the top corner over here. Okay, so let's change our brush again. And let's try maybe this guy right here with the squiggly. Alright, so we're going to change opacity. I'm just going to go to around 50%. And I'm just going to fill in some of that area right there. And I'm going to fill in a little bit here. But I'm going to change the orientation of the brush. So I'm going to hit F5. I'm just going to flip it. Okay. So that means I got to go 180 degrees. Hold the shift key till we're at 180. And I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. And I'll let it hang off the edge. I don't like that one, so I'm going to resize the brush. And there we go. It's looking pretty good now. Alright, let's hold F5 to get that out of there. And this border looks a little thin. However, I think you get the idea. So if we wanted to change the color, say if we wanted to get more Halloween, okay, what we'll do is we'll select our layer that's white. We're going to click on this. We're going to come here and select this pumpkin. Okay, and if you click and drag, you can pick an orange out of the preview box that's bright enough that you like. So I like that orange. I'm going to grab the paint bucket tool, and I'm just going to dump paint right on this layer. This is our background layer for our brushes. And there you go, we've got orange. So zoom in and take a peek and see how that looks. Looks like orange paint, doesn't it? Like somebody just took some cheap paint and painted on our picture. Zoom back out. So thank you for taking time to visit my blog today. I hope that you like this technique. It's a little bit of fun when you get to play with the actual paint on the wall and then take it into a digital world and use it to create unique images. So really, I want to thank you all for visiting my blog. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to leave them in the comments section. I'm happy to answer anything. Also, I'd like to ask you guys to please submit any kind of topics that you want to cover. You can drop them in my email, tomshoe@hotmail.com, or you can put them in the comments section of things that you want to see, or you can go to Twitter. It's @ThomasShoe, and drop comments. If you have any questions, you can always hit me on Twitter. I'm there all day long, every day, and that's a quick way to talk. You can send me a direct tweet or just say @ThomasShoe, how's it going? I'd like for you to cover a certain topic. I won't hold you guys any longer. I hope you all have a wonderful day. Until next time, we'll see you soon.